Usually when we think about childhood memories, there is this expectation of warmth.
Oh, absolutely. It is deeply comforting to nostalgize childhood.
Right. I mean, we imagine a soft focus lens on a camera, you scrape your knee, a parent puts a bandage on it, and everything is just safe.
Yeah, we have a collective desire to view those early years as entirely innocent, just a time shielded from the darker realities of the world.
It's clean, it's protected, and it's heavily romanticized. But then you step into the original unedited text of J.M. Barrie's Peter and Wendy from 1911, and, well, that soft focus lens is completely shattered.
Oh, it is smashed to pieces.
Exactly. What we are actually looking at is a psychological landscape that is, it's unsettling.
It is the absolute definition of a beautiful nightmare. Barry isn't giving us a sanitized fairy tale here. He is dissecting the human condition.
Well, welcome to this custom-tailored deep dive. Today, we are exploring that original source material.
And it is a wild ride.
It really is. Our mission today is to strip away all the pop culture fairy dust, the cartoon adaptations, the theme park rides. We want to reveal a surprisingly dark, deeply psychological, and profoundly insightful look at the nature of childhood, memory, and adulthood that is hidden right there in Barrie's writing.
Because it is all right there on the page.
So whether you are a parent trying to keep it all together, or someone navigating the exhausting pressures of your career, or just insanely curious, this is going to shatter your preconceived notions of a story you thought you knew.
I think the best place to start looking at those shadows is exactly where Barry starts. Inside the Darling household, long before anyone takes flight.
Yes. The way Barrie introduces us to the Darling parents is just a masterclass in character psychology.
It really is.
Take Mrs. Darling. He describes her as having a romantic mind that resembles those nesting puzzle boxes from the puzzling East. No matter how many boxes you open, there is always, one more hidden inside.
Such a great metaphor.
Right. And she has a sweet, mocking mouth with one hidden kiss perfectly conspicuous in the right-hand corner.
It is an incredibly striking image, and it serves a very distinct purpose for the story.
How so?
Well, in Edwardian society, mothers were often flattened into these two-dimensional figures of domestic perfection. But Barry gives Mrs. Darling an inner, untouchable life.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, a life that belongs entirely to herself, beyond her role as a wife or a mother. He explicitly notes that Mr. Darling never got that innermost box,
Wow.
and he eventually just gave up trying for that hidden kiss. Wendy, her daughter, thought Napoleon could have gotten it.
Wait, Napoleon?
Yeah. But Barry pictures Napoleon trying, failing, and slamming the door in a passion.
Which is such a vivid, almost comical detail. Napoleon just storming off.
Exactly.
But then you contrast this deeply rich, mysterious internal world of Mrs. Darling with her husband. Mr. Darling is a man utterly consumed by the need to be exactly like his neighbors.
He is terrified of stepping out of line.
Totally. He works in the city, boasts about his knowledge of stocks and shares, and he treats the sheer existence of his children like a terrifying financial audit.
He really does. He sits on the edge of his wife's bed, holding her hand, while she is imploring him to keep their newborn daughter, Wendy.
Yeah.
And his immediate response is to pull out a pencil and paper to calculate the expenses.
He tallies up childhood illnesses like line items on a corporate budget.
It's hilarious, but also so bleak.
He sits there calculating mumps 1 pound, measles 1.5, German measles half a guinea, whooping cough, say 15 shillings. He is doing the math, terrified of the financial ruin that having a family might bring.
He is completely driven by anxiety.
Okay, let's unpack this. How does Barry use this intensely rigid, financially anxious adult environment to set up the introduction of a place like Neverland?
It is a deliberate psychological contrast. Barry is showing us that Mr. Darling's strict budgets and his desperate need for societal approval are frantic attempts to impose order on a fundamentally chaotic universe.
Right, trying to control the uncontrollable.
Exactly. The adult world of the Darlings, where a dog is employed as a nursemaid just to keep up appearances on the cheap, is completely obsessed with control.
Because they can't afford a real nursemaid, but they want to look like they can.
Spot on. And Neverland is the exact opposite of that. It is the untamable, unpredictable landscape of a child's imagination, actively rebelling against that adult control.
And Barry treats the child's mind as a physical, navigable map. He notes that if you could draw a map of a child's mind, it would have zigzag lines on it.
Like a fever chart.
Yeah, he says it resembles your temperature on a hospital card. And right at the center of that mind is Neverland, which is usually an island.
What's fascinating here is how Barrie suggests that Neverland isn't just a fantasy destination that you travel to on a ship.
Right, it's not a real place on a globe.
No, it is a physical manifestation of childhood psychology. He describes it as being nicely crammed.
Nicely crammed.
Yeah, not large and sprawly with tedious distances between adventures. It's compact.
Oh, I love that.
Why is it compact? Because a child's attention span jumps instantly from one intense scenario to the next. There is no downtime in a child's imagination.
That makes so much sense. And the details of these islands vary from child to child, which I found totally fascinating.
The variations are so telling.
Like John's Neverland has a lagoon with flamingos flying over it that he is actively shooting at.
Very typical boy adventure stuff.
Right. But meanwhile, little Michael, who is younger and has a more surreal imagination, has a flamingo with lagoons flying over it.
A flamingo with lagoons flying over it. It is just brilliant nonsense.
It is. And to manage the sheer mental chaos, Mrs. Darling has a nightly routine. After the children are asleep, she physically tidies up their minds.
This part is so beautiful, but also a little sad.
Barrie describes her rummaging through their thoughts like tidying up drawers. She folds up their naughtiness and evil passions, hiding them at the bottom.
Just tucking the bad stuff away.
Yeah, and then she airs out their prettier thoughts, spreading them on top for the morning.
Which really speaks to that desperate adult need to sanitize the wildness of children.
Exactly. You look at Mr. Darling's paper and pencil budgeting, and it reminds me of a modern professional obsessively tweaking an Excel spreadsheet.
Oh, that is a perfect comparison.
Just trying to control the uncontrollable variables of life. He is so focused on the spreadsheet that he completely misses the magic happening right in front of him.
He doesn't even see it.
I mean, Peter Pan is leaving strange skeleton leaves from an unknown tree on the nursery floor, and the adults are just trying to balance the books.
That desperate sanitization is exactly the point. The Edwardian era was built on the idea that children should be seen and not heard.
Molded into proper adults as quickly as possible.
Yes, Mrs. Darling tidying the minds is an attempt to force that order. But because Neverland is a manifestation of the wild, untamed child's mind, the ruler of that land,
Peter Pan.
right, Peter Pan must be the ultimate embodiment of childhood itself. And as the text reveals, pure childhood is not necessarily a sweet thing.
Not at all. And that brings us to the surprisingly harsh reality of Peter and Tinkerbell.
People are always shocked by this part.
If your only exposure to this story is the sanitized, cheerful version, brace yourself. Let's look at Tinkerbell first.
Okay, let's see it.
Barrie describes her as slightly inclined to embonpoint, which is a polite French way of saying she's a little plump.
Little chubby fairy.
Yeah, but her personality, she is intensely jealous, spiteful, and, frankly, foul-mouthed.
Very foul-mouthed. When Peter tries to explain to Tink that she can't be his fairy because he is a gentleman and she is lady, she replies in fairy language by calling him a silly ass.
A silly ass. In a children's book.
Yes, but her jealousy of Wendy isn't just a cute character quirk. It is lethal.
She actively plots a murder.
She really does.
When Wendy is flying toward the island, Tink flies ahead and tells the Lost Boys that Peter has ordered them to shoot Wendy with a bow and arrow.
And they just listen to her.
One of them actually shoots her. Wendy is shot in the chest and only survives because an acorn button she wore on a chain around her neck catches the arrow.
It is brutal. And Peter himself operates with a similar, albeit different, disregard for consequence.
He really does.
His defining characteristic, which Barrie points out explicitly, is his unbearable cockiness. He is entirely consumed by himself.
The forgetfulness is what genuinely unsettled me. He instantly erases his own adventures from his mind moments after having them.
It's like object permanence just doesn't exist for him.
Right. And while they're flying to Neverland, the kids will fall asleep in the air and drop like stones toward the ocean.
Which is terrifying.
And Peter thinks this is hilarious. He waits until the very last second to dive down and save them.
Not out of compassion, by the way.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Just because he's interested in showing off his own cleverness, Barrie even notes that sometimes he just lets them drop for the fun of it.
He is dangerously careless with human life. And he has absolutely no concept of human affection.
The kissing scene is so awkward.
When Wendy offers him a kiss, he holds out his hand, and she gives him a thimble so as not to hurt his feelings.
Because he literally doesn't know what a kiss is.
Exactly. He later gives her an acorn button in return. He mimics the actions of connection without feeling any of the emotional weight.
Wait, I'm struggling to reconcile this. If Peter is casually letting kids plummet toward the ocean, dictating reality through make-believe...
Oh yeah, forcing the boys to stay hungry if he decides they've had a pretend dinner.
Yes. And physically rapping their knuckles when they break his rules. How are we supposed to view him? Is Peter Pan actually the villain of his own book?
It's a very compelling way to look at it, but Barrie's thesis goes a bit deeper into developmental psychology.
Okay, I'm listening.
Barrie states that children are inherently gay and innocent and heartless. Peter isn't malicious in the way a calculating adult villain is malicious.
So what's driving him then?
The mechanism driving his behavior is a complete lack of the adult capacity for empathy and memory.
Empathy and memory.
Yes. Empathy requires memory. You have to remember what pain feels like to care if someone else is in pain.
Oh, wow. That is profound.
Peter has no memory, so he faces no moral consequences. He doesn't hold grudges, but he also doesn't hold love. He just moves on. He is the eternal present.
So if Peter is entirely insulated from consequence because he has no memory, what happens when we look at a character who is completely defined by his past and his consequences?
The exact opposite of Peter.
Right, which points us directly to the pirate captain. We shift from the heartless child to the tortured adult.
Enter Joss Hook.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Hook is not just a pirate. He's a highly educated man.
Very highly educated. Barrie reveals he attended a famous public school, strongly implied to be eaten, and his speech is elegant.
But his physical description is striking. He has hair dressed in long curls that look like black candles and blue eyes of profound melancholy.
He is a deeply, deeply sad man.
And what is his true obsession? It isn't treasure and it isn't conquering the seas.
Not at all.
Hook is obsessed with good form. It is his religion and it is his ultimate curse.
Yes. He is tormented from within by the question of whether he is behaving with good form.
It's like an intrusive thought he can't shake.
Exactly. He even spirals into this intense existential dread, wondering if the very act of thinking about good form is, in itself, bad form.
Which is just so exhausting. It's a brilliant, scathing critique by Barrie on the British class system.
The Edwardian public school system was designed to strip away individuality and replace it with an exhausting adherence to social codes.
Hook is paralyzed by the expectations of his past.
He is a man who has chosen a life of anarchy as a pirate, yet he is still entirely enslaved by the social rules of the society he abandoned.
And chasing this tortured adult is the crocodile that swallowed a clock.
The ticking crocodile is such a visceral manifestation of time and mortality, relentlessly chasing the adult.
Every adult hears that ticking clock getting closer. I look at Hook's obsession with good form, and to me, it's the 1911 equivalent of modern-day imposter syndrome.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the performative nature of corporate adulthood. You're constantly asking yourself, like, am I doing this right? Am I appearing successful? Am I a fraud?
Hook is effectively a middle manager having a severe existential crisis while holding a sword.
That is exactly what he is.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it makes the final duel between Peter and Hook so incredibly profound.
On the pirate ship.
Right. In their final confrontation on the ship, Hook realizes he cannot defeat Peter's youthful, careless energy.
Because Peter is too quick, too unburdened by consequence.
So what does Hook do? He gives up the fight and invites Peter to kick him off the ship rather than stab him.
And Peter, being a child who fundamentally doesn't understand the complex, unwritten rules of honorable combat, just obliges and kicks him.
Precisely. And as Hook falls to his death in the crocodile's jaws, he goes content.
He's happy about it.
Why? Because Peter finally showed bad form. Hook dies feeling culturally superior.
That is incredibly twisted.
For Hook, an adult deeply burdened by society, it is better to die with good form than to live without it. It is a hollow victory of adult cynicism over childhood innocence, right at the moment of death.
It's so dark, but there's a strange poetry to it. So Hook is destroyed by time, represented by the crocodile, and Peter avoids time entirely by forgetting it.
Which leaves the other children in a tough spot.
Right. Wendy, John, and Michael are in this really uncomfortable middle ground where they have to face both time and memory.
Which brings us to the emotional core of the text, the tragedy of mothers and the inevitability of forgetting.
Because throughout the story, the lost boys are desperate for a maternal figure.
They build Wendy a custom house around her when she is shot, just to establish her as their mother.
Wendy tells them stories, constantly reassuring them that a mother's love means she will always leave the nursery window open for her children to return.
It's a very comforting thought.
But Peter shatters that comforting illusion. He tells them his own deeply tragic backstory.
This part is so heartbreaking.
He explains that he used to think his mother would leave the window open for him, so he stayed away for moons and moons, just playing and having fun.
Just being a kid.
But when he finally flew back, the window was barred and there was another little boy sleeping in his bed.
Now, whether that event actually happened or is merely Peter's skewed perception, it introduces a terrifying psychological reality to the children.
That mothers can forget.
Yes, love is not an unconditionally permanent shield if you abandon it. The realization that they might be replaced prompts Wendy and her brothers to finally face reality and return home.
And the ending of this book is heartbreaking in a way I just wasn't prepared for.
It hits you right in the gut.
The children return to the Darling house. Mrs. Darling is overjoyed. She offers to adopt all the lost boys, and they agree to stay.
She even offers to adopt Peter.
But Peter refuses, and his reason reveals so much about his character. He fears waking up one day and having a beard.
He absolutely refuses to be caught and made into a man.
So he flies back to Neverland. Mrs. Darling promises Wendy can visit him once a year for spring cleaning.
But then the years pass.
And this is where the true horror of Peter's eternal childhood is revealed. He forgets everyone.
The next time Wendy sees him, she asks about Captain Hook, expecting to reminisce about their grand adventure.
And Peter asks, "Who is Captain Hook?"
He casually says, "I forget them after I kill them."
He forgets Tinkerbell too, right?
Yes. Barrie implies she has died, noting that fairies live very short lives.
And eventually, as the years come and go, Wendy grows up, gets married, and has a daughter of her own named Jane.
And when Peter finally returns, he doesn't even realize Wendy has grown up. He looks at Jane and thinks she is Wendy.
So what does this all mean? I have to ask you, does Barrie view growing up as a tragedy that we should try to avoid? Or is the true curse belonging to Peter, who is trapped in this eternal, heartless loop of forgetting?
This raises an important question about the human condition, and I believe Barrie's answer is quite clear. To love and to be loved requires memory.
Oh, wow. Memory is the key.
You cannot have deep, meaningful attachments without remembering the shared history, the pain, the joy, and the sacrifices. Peter is entirely incapable of memory, and therefore he is incapable of genuine love.
He's just empty in that regard.
He is free, yes. He has endless adventures and never has to worry about the ticking crocodile. But his absolute freedom comes at the cost of absolute isolation.
That is a heavy price.
Growing up involves pain. It involves the heavy burden of good form and the loss of magic, but it is the only way to experience genuine human connection.
Wow. If you take away one thing from this deep dive into the original source material, it's that the tale of Peter Pan is far from a whimsical bedtime story.
It really isn't.
It is a profound, often melancholy meditation on the fleeting, heartless nature of childhood. It exposes the terrifying imposter syndrome reality of becoming an adult, represented so vividly by Hook.
And above all, it explores the heavy, essential price of memory.
It ultimately reminds us of the necessity of embracing time rather than running from it. The clock is ticking for all of us. There's no escaping that.
But facing that clock together is what makes our relationships real.
I want to leave you with one last unexpected image from the text to ponder. We spent all this time focusing on the magic of Neverland, the fairies, the pirates, the flying. But consider the real world, Mr. Darling.
Right, the anxious guy calculating the cost of mumps on a piece of paper.
When the children go missing, he is racked with guilt because he had chained up Nana the dog in the yard, which left the nursery unguarded.
His remorse completely shatters his need for control.
It really does. He goes out to the yard, climbs into the dog kennel, and vows not to leave it until his children return.
And he sticks to it.
He is physically carried to work in a cab while living inside the dog kennel. He makes himself a complete public spectacle.
People cheer him in the streets, women ask for his autograph, but he is actively enduring utter humiliation.
So consider this. Is the ultimate act of bravery in this story not Peter Pan fighting pirates with a sword, but an adult willingly embracing total humiliation, giving up his precious, hard-won good form out of pure, remorseful love for his family?
It's a beautiful way to look at it.
Think about that soft focus lens of childhood memory we started with. Maybe the real beauty of this story isn't the magical escape to Neverland, but the flawed, messy, deeply loving reality of the adults who stay behind, endure the pain of memory, and wait for us to come home.